So far, we've learned that inheritance is all about forming relationships between different objects. And there's a couple specific types of relationships you want to be extra familiar with. The is-a relationship refers to when an object is considered a type of another object. So it's sort of like a subcategory. What does this mean? Let's take the example of a set of objects that define different individuals within the system of a school. We would say have something at the very top called a school member. That's just somebody that's involved with the school. And then you would have staff and student extend school member, and then you could further extend staff, teachers, and administrators. Once we've got this hierarchy set up where we've got everything extending the thing above it, we can look up the tree to determine the is-a relationships within this hierarchy. So it works the way that we would explain it like a human. For example, a teacher is a staff member because teacher extends staff. This is true because all teachers have to be staff members. They inherit from staff. That's how the hierarchy works. And just like that, a student is a school member. It inherits from school member. It has to be a subset of school member. However, you don't go down the tree with is-a relationships. For example, a school member isn't necessarily always an administrator. Sometimes it is, but you wouldn't define that relationship as an is-a relationship because a school member could also be a freshman or they could be a teacher. It only works up the tree. Another type of relationship is called a has-a relationship. This is where you have two objects that are not actually related by hierarchy or inheritance, but instead related based on what information they store. Let's go back to our school example. Here is the first top-level tier of our school inheritance tree, where we have school member at the top. Let's say school member contains within it a state or field for class schedule. And that makes sense because we know everybody that is involved with a school probably has some schedule to maintain. This is great, so then students and teachers both inherit this field or data class schedule. But then a student probably has something specialized on top of that. Maybe they have a graduation product that maybe the teacher wouldn't have. Just like a teacher would have a grade book that maybe the student doesn't have. Each of these fields is itself another object, but each instance of our student, teacher, and school member objects might contain these separate objects. So how does has-a come in? Well, you would say a student has a class schedule. In fact, all of our different objects here have class schedules. It's contained within the object of each of these. Again, a teacher has a gradebook. It uses the gradebook object inside of it. So teachers have a gradebook. But for example, teachers do not have a graduation project. Only students do. So a has-a relationship is when one type of object uses another type of object in its internal code in order to accomplish its goals. As we start to move deeper into inheritance, you're going to get more comfortable with how to form relationships between code. And strong relationships between code are incredibly important in keeping a well-maintained and easy-to-use code base, not only for you, but for all your coworkers as well. So make sure that you're the most popular coder in your code base and keep your relationships well-defined.